that's exactly what you should. I mean, the ham stuff is great. And obviously I use radios a lot, and my career is probably most of us did. But I was thinking, okay, am I going to set my girlfriend up in Los Angeles with a antenna and teach her how to relay? Exactly. It's just not practical to get somebody trained up on that easily, especially if they're going to be mobile. She's going to be heading out this way. So when I was doing Manhunt, the first one I did, they lost me, which was awesome. It's a pretty crazy story in Africa. And so after that, every other time, they completely lost me. I was off the reservation, and it was a very dangerous situation. There were lions out. It was crazy. They thought they killed me, but they started sticking. They're called DeLorme. The company was DeLorme, and the DeLormes had these little, and Garmin bought them several years ago. DeLorme had this satellite communication thing and the SOS capability and the ability for you to be able to share your track with certain people and all of that. So after Garmin bought them, I didn't ever use them when they had them in my backpack in my rig so that they could track me and make sure they knew where I was at all times, the producers. But Garmin bought them, and now they're from $300 to $500. You can get little units, and they're kick-ass GPSs as well. So it's a handy unit to have. Topo maps, touch screens, all the good stuff, all the bells and whistles on all the GPS level. And then, like I say, it has this SOS button on the side that you just squeeze that anywhere in the world, and it will send out your location to whatever local rescue forces type people they would send the information to. But then the communication in between these units, and then also to cell phones as well. So I can put in a cell phone number and text a satellite text to a cell phone as well. So for exactly what you're talking about, as far as keeping in touch with your wife and coordinating if you're separated or parents, or, with all the stuff that's potentially going to happen, these are really handy units to have around. And the battery lasts like 30 days. It's crazy.
That's awesome. Have you guys heard of GoTenna for like local network setups?
Yeah, GoTenna is what we used in Syria.
Yeah, I mean they do military apps and everything else, but they make a small civilian app where basically you've got this little thing you can hang on like a backpack or a belt or something like that, and you can set up a local network where you can text, pictures, whatever you need to do.
We were using the civilian version. It wasn't like the whatever military stuff they had. It was just some shit we were fucking around with.
Yeah, the military stuff is pretty high speed. They can do tracking subterranean now, and you're just like this. Yeah, within like a meter. That's pretty awesome. Gabe's here. Welcome.
Gabe.
Buenas noches, y'all. How's it going?
Wow, we got a full squad rolling. How long has it been since we had a full squad? At least a couple weeks.
It's been been 2 weeks since we've done anything.
Well, feels like 2 months.
It does. Jeez.
Missed you, retards.
Right?
Happy New Year, everybody, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It is, man.
Hey, Joel.
It's going to be a fun one.
If you don't mind me asking, what was it like for the producer team and the network team to panic when they thought they lost you?
Oh, it's a funny story. So it was in Africa, South Africa, and it's the first real episode we're shooting. We shot the pilot, and this is the first like real episode. And I told these guys, all the camera guys, producers, and everything. I'm like, we're going to be on E&E. Now, I've been on all the schools. They put us on it. This is like the shittiest thing you can possibly do in the military. Everything that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong. You've lost everything. You don't have any food left, and you thought you're getting picked up. And guess what? Now you got 3 days to hump another 20 clicks or something to a mountaintop, where then hopefully they'll come, get you the next 3-4 cycles of darkness, whatever it happens to be. And they didn't understand. All these guys were like, I did Bering Sea Gold, and I did Ice Road Truckers, and I know hard show. I've done hard shows before. And then they get out, and on our pilot episode, guys were quitting. They had to fly emergency sound guys out from LA to where we're doing our pilot episode, because dudes are just like, fuck this, I'm done. And then they also, I told them all the time, I'm like, hey, look, in the military, all these militaries we're going up against, and police forces and government forces and all these guys, they're going to cheat. They're going to cheat in every possible way they can, because that's just, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So these guys are going to cheat. And so you got to be very, very careful on your communications. So then on the first episode, I'm putting in my first badass booby trap, and I see the producer over in the corner on his walkie-talkie, on his radioing back to the producers. And I'm like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, I'm telling them where it's at. I'm like, is that a secure? Are you on secure comms? Is that encrypted? Do you have any secure? He's like, no, the Army gave them to us. I'm like, oh, okay. You listening to that frequency they programmed in for you? You just told them So then these idiots that I was going up against, they weren't very good. The first one, they came up and they knew exactly where my shit was, and they kind of snuck up and they had all the cool guy moves going up. But the producers, they quit all the time and they freaked. So then the first episode, we were in Africa. And we're in Kruger National Park. So there's shit everywhere. Like all the big ones are everywhere. And so I have to be very, very careful. And I actually had a park ranger with me because he had a weapon. We had a park ranger and he was a smoker. So he couldn't keep up for shit. And then I had my camera guy. And then I had this producer, SAS guy in the field. And as we're moving through the area, the rule sets on Manhunt basically was if they get within 20 meters of me, identify me and get within 20 meters and they see where I'm at, I will surrender and then they'll come in and they take me down. But anything other than that, I mean, if you yell at me from like a quarter mile away, that's not a capture. So you saw me, big fucking deal. That doesn't mean shit. So the park, the guys tracking me, amazing trackers. They had native, whatever tribe it was in South Africa were tracking me. They were fantastic. They had these Boer special operations guys, South African and Australian special operations guys that were running the recovery team trying to take me down. But one of these idiots saw me and yelled from a long ways away. So I was like, see ya, boom, I'm off. Then one Boer special operations guy got really mad and he started firing his elephant rifle into the dirt. I mean, he was firing down, but he was like, he was shooting like this into the ground. But it was still, he was shooting at me, sort of at me, which was obviously way against the rules. So it can't kill me. And,
they frown on that.
Yeah, I'm gone at that point. I'm like, see ya. I'm not sticking around. You're not coming up and wrapping me up. I'm gone. And so my ranger guy fell off immediately, and then the SAS guy who was producer in the field, he fell off because he was like 60 years old, stud, but he's like 60 years old. So the park ranger, my producer are both gone. They're the ones with the radios and all the connectivity to the Discovery Channel and everything. And it's me and my camera guy, and we're off. He was an idiot, but he was a great athlete, so he could keep up. So we ran for probably 50 minutes an hour straight, just like a pretty good pace run through South Africa, Kruger National Park. Not smart, but we're running. And then we run into some lions, actual feeding lions. And
that's good.
That will definitely get your heart rate up. That was awesome. Backed out of that one quick. But then the guys were after me. They saw which direction I was going. So they're coming up, and there were the lions, which obviously I came across, that were hunting in that area. Big lions. And so at that point, they were like, okay, we gotta fucking find this guy. It's no longer a TV show. We gotta find, he's gonna get eaten. He's running he's running in an area where big cats are hunting. Big cats are all cats. And this is one of the things that you learn in Africa or any place that has big cats. You don't ever run, don't ever move quick, they'll chase, even if they're not hungry. If you turn and run, they're on you. That's just what they do. It's what a cat does. You roll a ball of string in front of a cat, what does it do? It pounces. That's what they do. They're hardwired for that. So now I'm running through this area that these lions are hunting. So they're trying to capture me now, and they're driving around yelling like, Joel, come out of the bush. It's time to come out. We're no shit. They're going to eat you. And I was like, I'm like, yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna fall for that shit. You guys just fucking shot at me. You're yelling at me that the game's over or something. Yeah, fuck that, man. I'm still moving. And so I'm running, and I come up to this river, and everything, and pretty much anything in Africa that's bigger than 5 feet across, you just factor in there's a fucking crocodile in there. You just
gonna be
just assume that.
It's there.
There's gonna be a fucking hippo in there. So you just stay away from the water. In fact, they say the big five that Cape Buffalo are the things that kill the most people every year. But if you factor in all the people that go missing and you just never found again in Africa, and you assume that those are crocodiles, then crocs are top of the list, way top of the list. So I just don't want to go near, bodies of water in Africa. So we come up to this river, and I'm down in the bush, and I see that they have set up a cordon across there. So there's all these guys along the river waiting for me to cross the river. And then they all stand up and they walk to the center to talk. And I find out later it was a radio. Like, look, we got to save this guy. He's running around. We got to capture him for his own, his own well-being, not for the TV show. It's like we got to get him in. He's going to die.
See you,
And
fuckers.
Yeah, as soon as they move out of the way of the bend of the river, I book across the river, hoping that no fucking crocodiles grab me. Nothing did. Get across, and anyway, we finally connect with them. And hey, Randy, we finally connect with them, and they're totally pissed, and they think that I was. I won. I got away. I got to the extract point, and they finally catch me at the extract point. They come to me at the extract point. So then I find out later that as soon as they lost me after they started shooting at me, and they realized there were lions in the area, and I'm running through this area, and they have no fucking control whatsoever, and don't know where I'm at, and have no locator on me or anything. The producer in the field, amazing guy who's done all of Mike Rowe's stuff, really cool guy, really close friends. He calls up the Discovery producer. So there's a producer in the field that runs everything in the field. That's the producer for the studio that's making the show. And then there's the network's producers. And they're the ones who are back in wherever, London or LA or New York or whatever. And they're not in the field. They're the ones coordinating all this shit, at the network level. So he's calling London, calling Discovery Channel and going, hey, and he gets the executive producer of the show, the vice president of content worldwide, out of a meeting. And he's like, I think we just killed Joel. We'll fucking film everything, and we'll find somebody else once it's over. Film everything. So they thought they for sure. And there's stuff on the behind the scenes episode that's really funny. The safety guy was an old SAS guy, SAS MI6 dude, and he was so calm and wasn't freaked out, but he was joking about body parts and how we're gonna scrape me up and pick me. So they all thought I was dead. It was awesome.
Oh, damn.
Navy SEALs, they're a dime a dozen. We'll just get another one.
Yeah.
Half of what they do at Buzz is just teach them how to tell stories really well.
It gets you out of a lot of shit with the instructors. If you can entertain the instructor, you're going to entertain the instructors one of two ways.
Yeah.
One of two ways.
That's right.
Up to you.
Oh man,
yeah.
you guys are in for a
That's
great.
awesome. We haven't even started yet. This is awesome.
I think in the natural lull, maybe this is just a good place to go ahead and kick it off. You guys down to get going?
Wait.
Here we go. Stand by. Bitcoin Veterans is back. Happy New Year, everybody. We hope you had a great holiday season. It is time to get back on the mission, get after it. We are fortunate enough to have a wonderful guest. If you missed the pre-show, what are you doing? Get here 15 minutes early. It's just standard operating procedure, for God's sakes. 15 minutes early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. You've already missed an incredible story from our guest that has been all over the world, been chased by, the big five in Africa. I think we're going to get into some amazing stuff tonight. But first and foremost, this is Bitcoin Veterans. Fairly self-explanatory. We're Bitcoiners. We're veterans. We get together and we've got an amazing group that's growing all across this country and now across the entire world. We started Bitcoin Veterans to put people back on the mission, especially veterans. You guys have this natural, innate want and love of your fellow man. You've signed up to protect them. You've signed up to defend the Constitution, all these things. And maybe you got jaded along the way. Maybe you saw some things. Maybe you've got nihilistic and you think, hey, man, the only way back to freedom in America is, we're going to fight our way there. There's another way. Bitcoin's the way. We are going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to have a ton of fun tonight. But our mission here is to get you on the mission with us in Bitcoin, whatever that is, whether it's talking about citadels, whether it's self-defense, whether it's what Gabe's doing with Operation Bitcoin. If you want to work in Bitcoin, if you need help with PTSD and the Brave mission is here for you. We have got a load of things we are talking about not only here, but behind the scenes in our group. So if you want to get plugged in, contact any one of us and we will get you plugged in. But now to introduce our guest, the esteemed star of the Discovery series, Lone Target. And he's been, I think, in many other things on Discovery. You've shot quite a few little movies as well out there. Our guest tonight is Joel Lambert, Navy SEAL, man that has been, I think, an icon in the space for quite some time now. We are absolutely delighted to have you here, Joel.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure to be with you. It's awesome to connect with guys on your mission. I'm in.
All right.
You know what that means.
I was gonna say,
So-
you know what that means, Joel? You might get canceled tonight.
I do, and I'm looking forward to people canceling me.
So speaking of getting canceled, and before we get into any of these specific topics, there's one thing I came across an article when I was researching you a little bit. And first and foremost, I want to say that I appreciate your appreciation for the cool brand gear, because the pants and the jackets are freaking awesome. But there was a point in this article where they mentioned a specific cologne that you like. And you said that it smells like
Smoky.
asphalt. It's that's what it was. Campfire and road tar.
Yes,
Is that
fan-
real?
it is. It's called. I can't remember what it's called. I can go grab it, but it's
It's called Black Panther, I think Shane said.
Yeah, it's called Sex Panther
68% of time.
every time.
All right. Yeah, no,
I
it's a real thing.
never would have thought that combo would be a deadly combo, but I will have to look
It's
into it.
awesome. It's awesome. You know, it's got that. Those are some of my favorite smells, like tar, pine tar, road asphalt, campfire. I got a fire going right now. It's fantastic. So I don't know if
All
it
right.
drives them away or brings them in, but I got a girlfriend, so she doesn't say anything about it.
Fair enough. I'll
She
take
hasn't
that as a
left
good
yet.
reference.
I like starting off with a bit of a laugh. You've just told this amazing story about, traversing across some of the open spaces in Africa while you've been doing some invading. Was that B-roll from the evading crocodiles and lions? Was that what spun up the Predators Up Close show as well?
Kind of. So the Predator. So I had Manhunt, which was called Lone Target here and in France. It was called. It did different. It was Manhunt mostly around the world, but the reason it's not called Manhunt in the U.S. is if you Google Manhunt, I caution you not to. It will take you to a website that, or at least several years ago, it took you to a website that is not my particular cup of tea. So they called it Target instead.
Just a second, I got to Google something.
All right, Navy guys, let's slow down here.
I don't know if it still is, but back in the time, it was a different kind of Manhunt that you would find on that webpage. But so they called it all kinds of different names in different countries. My favorite one was in China. They call it Capture the Special Master, which is pretty awesome. I started doing Manhunt. I got picked for that, and that's an awesome story too. And we started filming that. It was going over so well globally that Sarah Davies, the one who they called up to tell them that they killed me in the first episode, she called me up and said, "Hey, would you want to do another show?" I'm like, not really realizing what a time suck that would be. I'm like, "Fuck yeah, that sounds great. I'll do another TV. You give me another TV series, great." Ka-ching. So she said, "What do you want to do?" And so we kicked around a bunch of different ideas, and there was this video that she had of this dude who had this little like fiberglass or like plexiglass and steel, like a little phone booth. And he was set up in this little phone booth, and there were like predators attacking it and smashing him and pushing it around. And it was pretty crazy. And so we thought, what if we built something like that and then put like heart rate monitors and stuff on me, and then had these animals attack the shit, and it'd be kind of fun. And we could like put bite force meters out and stuff and measure the strength of the animal's attack on what it thinks is me. And I thought that sounds pretty badass. So we went into that, and it kind of changed as shows develop. They change and they kind of evolve. And take different turns and such, depending on lots of different things. So it kind of became me and this attractive girl that was the animal expert, and we'd go out, and then we'd interact with the animals as much as we could, and then she would have all the information on the animals, and I'd just be kind of like the dude sitting there being badass or something. And so that worked out really well, except I've never told this story. The girl that they hired to be the animal expert for this whole show was very sweet and cute and an absolute fucking dipshit. I mean, she was just dumb. Oh my God, she was dumb. And so I don't meet her. They don't want me to meet her until we actually arrived in Africa to start shooting the first episodes. We're shooting lions for the first time, our first episode. And we get there, and I meet her at the airport. I think at it's a London airport. I'm blanking on it. Anyway, meet her there, and we fly off to South Africa. And this girl, all she can do is talk about her boyfriend. She's like one of those people that you're just having a conversation about whatever, you're like, we're getting to the airplane. She's like, oh, my boyfriend and I, we flew, and she's just dropping this boyfriend fact every turn, which is, I mean, I understand. I'm not hitting on you. Nobody's hitting on you. And we get you have a boyfriend, and great. Good for you. Yay. Awesome. I don't want to know anymore. I don't need to know anymore. Let's just move on with other shit. Let's do the job. So we get there, and she's just constantly talking about her boyfriend. And so we get to where we're at to shoot these lions. We're on the Mwaleshi River in Zambia, the middle of nowhere. It took like 3 flights once you land in Africa to get to this place in Zambia. And it's totally remote. It's in this compound they build every year and tear down every year. So they have like 3 months they can run this safari resort. So they build it and tear it down for 3 months every year. So what's crazy is when you're in this resort, I'm laying in my cot sleeping in this little hut, and I wake up to the sound of an elephant eating the grass on the roof of my house, my hut. It's like before you go to the bathroom, you have to shine your flashlight around to make sure there's not a leopard walking through the camp, which was all the time. So it was really awesome how remote it was, but it wasn't like we could, just pop into town for something. And so we're out shooting the stuff on the lions. And so the director or something would ask, hey, Christy, what about the lion's carnassial teeth or their eye shine or something? And she'd be like, well, I don't really know. I'm a primatologist. And I'm like,
what?
Okay, we're in the middle of on the Mwaleshi River. You've been hired for a Discovery Channel show to be the animal expert. We're shooting lions for the next 3 weeks, and you don't know fuck all about lions? Mind-boggling to me. So our producers have to call back to fucking London on the satellite phone every night and have assistants research shit, give information to give to our fucking lion expert, so she could talk some basic shit. So then every night as well, she's drinking wine around the campfire. She's getting hammered every night. She's shit in the morning. She's chain smoking, throwing cigarettes in the savannah, pissing me off, and talking incessantly about her boyfriend until one morning at breakfast, we come in. I've about had it with this chick. I mean, she's just such a moron, and she's making, I want to do a job here. You got to do a job. And she's completely unprepared and unprofessional in this job. So we get to breakfast in the morning, and I look down, she's wearing something low cut, and she's got big black hickeys all over the top of her tits and her neck. And apparently her boyfriend wasn't enough to keep her from not hooking up with a camera assistant. So she's hooking up with a camera assistant. She's also doesn't know shit about lions. She's drunk every fucking night.
Doesn't know shit about lions.
She's just useless. And so I'm getting so irritated with this bitch. It's just, I can't believe I'm telling a story on a podcast. Anyway, I've never told it. A few people. So we get to where the lions are actually going to come in and like, interact with our pod. And so it's dark, and we've got camera guys set up in hidden places all around. They don't want the lions. So we've got them hidden and remote as much as possible, but still able to get cameras on the outside of the pod. And the pod's cameras all inside the pod, and it's all mic'd up in different areas. And then the director can talk back to us and, tell us what direction he wants us to talk about or whatever, warn us if they've got lions coming in, whatever. And so we're doing our thing, and I'm doing my thing, and then Christy starts to direct me, which in any kind of on camera, if you are one of only the director directs you, you never direct a fellow actor or a person or anything. Not to mention, this is my fucking show. The title has my fucking name in the title, and she's been hired to be my animal expert. And so she starts telling me how to do my shit. And I finally snap, and I just lose my fucking mind, and I just go full scorched earth on this dumb bitch, this poor girl, in this pod, letting her know what I think of her direction, her unprofessionalism, her pickies on her tits. I'm just fucking unloading everything on her. And then I let it quiet, and she's kind of sniffling a little bit. And then everyone's quiet. Like the whole, the radio channel has everybody on it. The camera guys, the sound guys, the directors, the producers, everyone's on it. Just radio silence. Nobody's saying a word. And the director comes in and he's like, Joel, can we go ahead and move forward? Or I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's shoot. Christy, you ready? So we get back, and she was hired for the whole series. So this poor girl she was a bartender, and she was hired for this whole Discovery Channel series that's going to air globally. It's like a major opportunity for her. And we get back, and I call up the producers. I'm like, she's done. I'm not working with her anymore. She's useless. And so we had a phone call with her agent and the producers and the production company. Plimsoll was the production company that was making it for Discovery Channel. Discovery Channel hired Plimsoll, which does a lot of natural history kind of production stuff. And so we had a call with everybody, and I just laid it out. And then so she was hired. She was fired. And so then the next girls that were hired were lovely, and we had one for who was an expert on sharks, and one who was an expert on polar bears, and that was it. So anyway,
they made sure they were actually experts on the targets that you were going to be interacting with, and not a primatologist.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. And not only just a primatologist, but one who didn't give a shit to. I mean, I had books on lions with me. I was trying not to read them because I wanted to learn from the fucking primatologist, but she was useless. So I was looking up the shit in my books.
This segues perfectly into our next conversation.
How could possibly that segue into anything?
Women, go. No,
women, what?
Jordan, you lagged a little bit when you said it.
That didn't come through, Jordan.
Women in the military, go.
Ooh.
Oh Lord.
Oh, you're really trying to get me canceled, aren't you? Look, I think we're right now in the special operations community dealing with Millie and all the rest of the woke bullshit coming down from the true masters of this world, trying to shove all this in to weaken, demoralize, and destroy our combat effectiveness and our masculine effectiveness. Really, is what the core core search or the core push for this is. And so, women in the military, fantastic in lots of places. In special operations world, yes, in their own capacity, not in the stack, not in the train, not with armored up, fully geared up, about to, blow the breach and move in the room, because it's just not going to. And everyone who always asks me this question from a different place than you asked it, Jordan, is I just asked one question, which is,
you don't know where I'm coming from.
I know where you're coming from. You're coming from someplace else. Anyway, the sole purpose of the military is combat effectiveness, power projection, kinetic power projection, and power application. And tell me how making a unit like the SEAL teams co-ed is going to help that. Give me one exactly. That's the point. Yeah. Is it nobody? Well, diversity is a strength, and that's the only thing anyone can come up with. Diversity is a strength. I'm like, at that point, I'm like, no, diversity is not a strength. You're a fucking moron.
Like you said, when properly applied, like Delta has been using women since like the 80s, because they realize if you put one guy on a street corner doing recon, he looks a little suspicious, but a couple standing on the street corner smoking a cigarette is just a couple standing on the street corner.
Absolutely.
I would like to take a second to point out that this isn't just an opinion of some dude. All right. Joel was a lead instructor at Buds, and Buds is the selection process to become a SEAL and go to the SEAL teams. So he would know. He is literally the fucking expert on the subject of who should be in these teams and who should not be in these teams.
Yeah. Well, and it's also in Joel, to the point that you were making too, like when people talk about diversity or what in whatever capacity, it's like if you want to be more effective, the diversity you should be looking for is in like thought and capability and in experience.
Exactly.
Like those are the diversity points, not who has a penis and who doesn't, who has skin pigmentation. Like that's just ridiculous.
Yes, but I can take that point to every fucking DEI, diversity, everything. You're exactly correct. And Alex, I mean, that's as far as reconnaissance, subversion, all that shit. Absolutely. Women do amazing things, and they do some bloody fucked up shit that I couldn't handle. I've faced my demons, and I've done shit that I'm extremely not proud of in combat operational sense that I don't want to revisit ever again. And there are women that I'm aware of that will just breeze through that. In fact, you know, when they select for the CIA, which that's another rabbit hole to go down. When they select for that, they select for sociopathic tendencies. They don't want girls that don't have sociopathic tendencies. They want women that are able to do the fucked up shit.
They want the Lorena Bobbitts of the world.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they need.
Might as well put those.
Are only good for honeypots or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in the stack I'm 200 pounds. And when I was slick, that was, 100 pounds, maybe. Fully geared up is 200-300 pounds. And I was a 60 gunner and I was a breacher. So I had, all my equipment. I had my chainsaws and quickie saws and, all the Thule tools and all that stuff all over. And so, you're looking at 350 pounds to move my ass out of a doorway or whatever you want to do, and show me and there are women that can do that. So here's the point to that. There are, even in Buds, 80% of the dudes that want to be Navy SEALs for their entire lives. They sacrificed everything to try to make it into Buds. 80% of those guys quit, fail, or die. So if we take that ratio into women with the bone structure, the strength, all the things, take that into it, and then consider the expense and the problem with making a co-ed, all the shit, all the logistics you have to do for a co-ed thing, not even factoring into affairs and pregnancies and all the shit that we know happens in all the regular military units that are co-ed. So we have 2 girls on a SEAL team now. We need to have facilities specific, all the things that they will need, the expense and the problem just logistically to factor that in. And then compare that with the very small amount of males that get through Buds training. And then that's going to be by a factor of 10 at least from the women that even would want to try, at the very least, probably closer to 100. Nobody's made it through even the pre-selection yet. And they've opened that up to women. And so
really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've opened that up. And I think one woman actually did make it through make it through the pre-phase, whatever. And then she had an opportunity, I think, to start INDOC or something like that, and then chose not to, is what I heard. And I'm just, I hear the rumors because I'm still really plugged into the community, but I don't know.
Joel, and then on top of all that too, like one other big factor between just men and women is their preferred leadership style. Like that makes a big difference.
Exactly. And in the military in general, and then in the special operations world, I mean, you got to have a real thick skin with your best friends. If you show any, I mean, that's the thing in the SEAL teams. You show any reaction, everybody will note it and just start pushing that button. And it's like that, most units, but in units like, the SF, Ranger battalions, and SEAL teams, SEAL platoons, it's one of my good friends. He's awesome. If he hears this, he'll get pissed at me. But so his name's Key Waden. He's an Indian dude. He was a great guy. I did 2 platoons with him. But Key Waden, when he first checked in, he told everyone, "You can call me Kiwi." So everyone started calling him Kiwi. And then after he got a little settled in, he decided he didn't like that, and so he made up another nickname. He's like, "Oh, you can call me Quaid now." So the Kiwi button just Kiwi fruit in his locker, just Kiwi. It's just you can't do anything. You can't show any irritation with anything. Mom jokes, girlfriend, you can't do anything.
It's an immune response.
Yeah, it's exactly. You're all the bros will test you as raunchy and as offensive as they can be to see any reaction. Any reaction. Your mom, your wife, your kid, anything. Boom, it's on. And it's all love.
Yeah.
Yeah, women.
They're just trying to make you stronger, bro. They're just trying to make you stronger. That's all.
Totally.
Or find out if they have to push you out. One of the two.
Yeah. Find out if we can break you or make you stronger.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's kind of the core of Buds. Can we break you, or will you not break?
I think Joel just missed out on a role in G.I. Jane, and that's really where all this was stemming from.
Serious resentment.
She edged you out of it, man. Demi Moore got your spot.
Good stuff, man. But I don't have hair like her.
Hey, but something that's encouraging though that I saw a report earlier this week on the DE&I initiatives that I mean in some places I think it was Google actually they're slashing their DE&I budget for 2024.
Get out of here.
Yeah, because it's not working. So but I think that the message here is diversity for diversity's sake is ineffective. But finding diverse talents and diverse skills and then leveraging them and assessing them properly and then putting them to work, I think it can be very effective. And it's like you said, you get a sociopathic female that has no problem, slitting somebody's throat and their whole family while they're all asleep and then just breezing on through life. Okay, that can be a useful skill in some situations, I think. But at the same time, if you take somebody and you throw them into a freaking pot with a bunch of raging bulls running around who's going to get their feelings hurt and then sue somebody, it's just a bad situation for everyone involved.
Sue somebody if you're lucky. Some of these females, it was well
exactly. Yeah,
like guys that were doing contracts for the CIA, direct hires, or doing contracts for them. You learn really quick. You don't date the hot girls that are running around that are employed. Just do not date them. They're hot. Don't date them. Don't even talk to them.
That's bait.
That's right.
Bunch of Sharon Stones running around in there. Not that I ever saw that movie back in the day. I've just heard about it.
Yeah. Is that so?
Moving on.
Okay. So name of the show is Bitcoin Veterans. I want to know, what is your Bitcoin story, Joel? Like, how did you hear about it? What got you switched on to it? Why are you interested in it? What are you doing with it? And why? Where does this all go, man?
That's a great question. Well, I'm a Bitcoin newbie, so I had heard about everything as everyone always did. People always talking about Bitcoin pops up on social media and friends like, you got to hear about this, and I blew it off. I was one of those guys that, it's a digital asset. What good is that? And then over the course of just kind of getting into, it's kind of a bigger story. We can go back to it, but I own a company right now, Escape and Evade Mobile. I did, the escape and evading and seer stuff on TV, and that's kind of my thing, my wheelhouse. And I got into, I got to answer your question first before I start tangenting. So my company is involved in augmented reality and blockchain technology right now. So as I started understanding that a little bit better, because it's such a massive shift in the way we think, that at that point I started looking into Bitcoin, because I'm looking into and I'm learning about all these different blockchains and all the different technology and all the different stuff in Web3, and everyone always talks about there is no second best. There's only Bitcoin and all the things that everything's centralized control, and then the CBDCs and all of that. But then I started looking into Bitcoin, and I'm the first to admit I've not even read the white paper, but I read Soft War, and I started learning about the stuff, and then everything shifts, and you just kind of get it. You get the concept. I'm the CEO of a company that's very involved in blockchain and in Web3, and I still don't understand that much of it, just because it's such a profound shit. It's like the internet in 1988. It just didn't. There was no space to fit that concept in, and so I once I learned about Bitcoin, I've been on a rabbit hole journey of freedom and liberty and all the stuff that we've all been on, but very recently in the last several years, it's gotten to be paramount for me. I fled California. I packed up all my shit and just
well done.
Telling anybody. Oh yeah, that was move number one. And I'm just very much interested in maximizing all of these things. And as we can get as far down the rabbit holes as you might want to, but as far as the people that control the world and all the levers of power that they've used and that they've established themselves into, the primary one that they're executing all their levers of power are the central banks. And the central banks, and you start looking back into all the stuff, the gold standard coming off of that, and income taxes, and all the things that go back to the beginning, and the fact that this is the third central bank we've been on, and watching I read a book probably before I joined the Navy that kind of turned me on to the beginning of this, and it was called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Yeah, okay, all right. Some of you guys have read it. I've not read the updated edition, but I read it a long time
ago. I would recommend it.
It's
15,
really good.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
So 20, 25 years ago, actually. And that really opened my eyes to the beginning of it, And so that really started changing things. And then, I had all these amazing experiences, and then all the stuff that's happening now is really the veil's being lifted, and we're able to see really the machinations of power and what we've been conditioned to our whole life. I've been really getting into some of this, state national stuff right now, as opposed to United States citizen, which is not what we think it is. So as I'm learning this stuff, I'm like, this is, again, it's a complete paradigm shift of the way we see and exist and think of ourselves in the world. It's not something that you can just get immediately. It requires a complete shift. But as I'm learning the things that I'm learning, I'm like, why has this not been? I've known some people that have been on this, the state's national kick way back when I was a kid, but it just seemed kind of weird and strange. And maybe the FBI is going to come bust down their door at some point. But then I start realizing how everything is legal, and how, the U.S. is a corporation, and it is only Washington, D.C., and all these things and I just am blown away by even me, who I think I'm pretty insightful, how conditioned we have been to the existence they have created for us.
Yeah.
Golly.
Okay.
Well, and they're like, especially to that level, like learning particularly the fact that, like, when you're born, the identity that is given to you is a corporation, technically.
Exactly. Yeah. There's the human individual, and then there's Joel Patrick Lambert in all caps, which is the corporation that is. And so I'm learning that right now. I'm just filing my revocation of election and just my new passport, and I'm not participating in this grid in this game anymore. I'm not playing, and that's Bitcoin is part of that. All of it's part of it. I'm going to turn off the TV. That light's annoying.
I think this is a great subject, and I didn't think we were going to go here. The idea of getting rid of the corporate, whoever your uppercase name is, and this is something I've looked into a little bit myself. Obviously, when we go down this route, I think this is a great subject to follow up with, like, down the line, like for everybody in Bitcoin veterans, it's out there. If Joel, maybe this is something you could help us lead with. If you understand it, you're already taking steps to go this route, to divorce ourselves from the system completely legally, to make that separation between the state-sponsored name and the living man is a real thing. There's a couple great videos out there. So I think it was a guy in either Montana or Idaho, but I wanted to kind of ask on the leading into that segue. You had mentioned reading the Confessions of an Economic Hitman. When did you first start to go, holy shit, like what I'm doing as a Navy SEAL around the world, like, was it that first chink in the armor of, like, the indoctrination that you'd been through your entire life, the intelligence that was being fed to you on a probably a daily basis, especially in theater, where did you first see, like, what was your example where you're like, man, this just does not make sense to me?
That's a good question. And so people always ask me, because I'm the rabbit hole guy. They always ask me, when did you start to wake up? What pushed you over the edge? Because a lot of people have, something particular that pushed them over the edge. They realized the TV was lying to them or whatever. And for my whole life, really, I was always a weird kid. I was in trouble for smoking pot and cigarettes, playing rock and roll, all that stuff. And so me and my buddies were always, and this is pre-internet, so it was very difficult to find information. We were always down the Illuminati and, the Loch Ness Monster and the Men in Black and, the reptilian agenda and all that stuff. So I've always kind of into, what's that?
I said lizards. I'm sorry. Please keep going.
Yeah.
Hey, you tripped his trigger.
Right on. The Dracos and all that. Yeah. So I've always been kind of on that side of things. And then, so Confessions of an Economic Hitman fit really well in. When I joined the Navy, it was solely to be a SEAL. And I wanted to do it to test myself to see if I could do it, because I didn't think I could, to be honest. And so I knew that was what I had to do, because I wasn't sure if I could do it. Everything else that I was thinking about doing, I was like 21. I'm like, what am I going to, I got to do something. Something was calling me. Someone was telling me to take a hard left turn off the straight and narrow path. And I didn't know what it was. So I thought, maybe I moved to Sao Paulo and I train with the Gracies, or I climb Mount Everest, or I, what's the thing that I'm going to do? All of these things, I was like, I can do that. That'll be hard. I can do that. And then being a SEAL, I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can make it through BUD/S. I don't know if I have that in me. And so that was what I knew I had to do. And so it was for that purpose. And then also for the brotherhood and just my own action and all of that. I never had any kind of political aspirations or political ideas in my head as to what I had no idea the depth of the corruption of our government and what it's become at this point, and in conjunction with Israel and the Five Eyes and all of the intelligence agencies and all of that stuff. But I was always aware. And so when I was operating and when I was active duty, I don't think I had a lot of a problem with it. And I still don't, looking back at my service. I don't have a problem with my service, because what it was the brothers next to me. It was the warrior tribe, that there are very few left at that level of that kind of pure warrior, sacrifice yourself for everything, die in a burning blaze of glory kind of community. And that was, to a degree, my enlightenment. That was a very enlightening, powerful world life experience for me that I wouldn't trade for anything. As far as some of the things I did, and I have a completely different understanding about all that stuff now. And we all do, and there's nothing we can change about it. Just move forward and in understanding and knowledge, and everyone's waking up. So we're all going to have things to look back on when we're under the yoke of the control. And that's part of the reason why I'm so, when I learned about the state's national stuff and really started diving down that rabbit hole and really learned, I thought, I have to do this. I can't not do it. I understand now the levers of power and the machinations that this truly satanic Luciferian agenda is exerting on the world and on me. And all I can do is move myself out of it. And if I don't move myself out of it, I'm not a Christian, but that's a sin against God. If I voluntarily stay in this system after understanding the system.
All right. So how did you figure out Bitcoin? Like, how were you introduced to Bitcoin, and why are you interested in it? So
I was curious about Bitcoin, and I didn't understand where Bitcoins came from, really. And so I did some research, and I talked to my COO of my company, who's the tech guy. And then he explained Bitcoin mining to me, and then it made sense. And one of the blockchains that we're working with right now with my company is the Internet Computer Project, which is amazing. Not about cryptocurrency or anything like that, but it's an egalitarian internet. It's removing the internet from the control of Google, Apple, Amazon servers, and Microsoft. It's amazing. So these guys are fantastic. We're working with them. And so I learned how their token works, which works as a voting rights on this egalitarian blockchain, and then also works to buy cycle. It's computing power. So if my website were hosted on the internet computer, I would buy all these ICP tokens, which then would give me voting rights in the internet computer, like just steering rights. I'd have a board seat basically, and then I would spend those tokens. So that's the inflationary pressure, and then I would spend those tokens for computing power as my website gets traffic and processes. And so there's the deflationary, is it's actually burning. The token is gone forever. So they're created as rewards by participating and steering, and they're burned by hosting your stuff on the internet computer. So when I learned that, then it kind of made Bitcoin, that kind of put Bitcoin into focus for me. And then
gateway drug.
Yeah, and then reading, and then I'll confess to you guys, I bought a bunch of XRP a long time ago first, and then and that was my first, as I first started learning. I didn't know anything at the time. Somebody told me to, so I bought some. And anyway, so now I'm only buying Bitcoin. I know I'm a shitcoiner or whatever. I understand this situation, and so as I started understanding Bitcoin, and then I read Software, and then that was the thing that kind of clicked. I was just trying to see it as and understand it as digital money, and that was hard for me. It was hard for me to understand all of them as digital money, and then as I started to understand how like the ICP token works, which they're not using as money. It's computing tokens. It's computing power. But oh yeah, fuck off, dude. So anyway, gateway drug, and then I learned about Bitcoin, and then I learned about it from Lowry's point of view, which is the power projection, and then that is what made everything really click into place for me. Is that really, when I read that, and I didn't even read all of it, I read like 40 or 50 pages, and I was like, I get this. Okay, it all makes sense. I understand the strategic importance in social circles and in government and global circles. And at that point, that was when I'm all in.
So like actually, one of my questions I wanted to ask you, it kind of dovetails out of that. So, because before you even got to the Bitcoin kind of like rabbit hole, you were a man of capability and like what I would say a man of like certain freedoms that 99.9% of the population does not have because of the capabilities you had. Did Bitcoin kind of like almost not only reopen like the focus and the search for freedom, and did it also kind of like super lever it because you didn't understand the kind of freedom that wasn't available to you because you couldn't get outside the dollar system?
Yes. And yes on that. And I want to expand a little bit. So it was, once I understood it, I'm like, this is what I was looking for. This is what I'm looking for. This is exactly it. And it's inevitable. But then when I went down the state sovereign, the state national route and started really exploring that, I'm like, this is everything now. Here it is, divorced, removed from the corporation of the United States that is controlled by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, and the rest of the 13 bloodlines and all of that. We can go, like I said, rabbit holes. But we have the currency, we have the power projection and protection for our social systems, and I'm removing my human person from this satanic central bank Luciferian system, and Bitcoin is the method for it. So between Bitcoin, honestly, and the state national route, that kind of covers it all for me. I'm doing it all out here at the farm. This farm will no longer be considered. This will be a embassy, more or less, I can't remember, alluvial deed, something. I can't recall. I'm just learning about this, and I'm moving along, moving down the road as I learn more and take steps to free myself. I've taken 2 big steps already, and I'm going to completely free from this system until the system changes.
this is a fantastic opportunity. Do you have questions about Bitcoin that we can hit really quick before we dive into the next stuff here?
Yeah, I do actually. Well, I don't have a specific question, but something I'd love to learn more about is that everyone's running in nodes now, and everyone's getting their rigs set up and everything. And I think I kind of have the gist of it, but I'd love to understand that more. If anyone's a pro on that,
we got a couple guys that have set up a couple of them in the last few weeks. We could definitely hook you up with people for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you some summary info on nodes. Okay.
Right.
So there's different sort of pieces of the puzzle when it comes to Bitcoin. You've got individuals who own Bitcoin. You've got the blockchain, which is a record of all the transactions, essentially.
Right.
You've got, which lives basically in cyberspace. Its copies of it are on many, many, many different computers. These are what we call nodes. So what a node is when you download a copy of Bitcoin Core, you download a copy of the entire blockchain. Right. And then you've got the miners,
right,
which are processing the transactions and adding new blocks, so to speak, to the blockchain. So the interesting thing about the nodes is this is the thing that makes it so it can't be shut down, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can remember back in the day, there was this one e-gold guy out of Costa Rica who did this thing where he was like, I'm going to create these digital tokens backed by gold. The problem is that the government knew where he was. They knew the IP addresses of his servers. It was a central point of failure, right? They took that guy out. I mean, they went in there with some tag teams. They got him. I think he's still in jail. With Bitcoin, the way it works with the nodes is you can download a full copy of Bitcoin Core and the entire ledger, the entire history of all the transactions in Bitcoin going all the way back to the Genesis block, which today, by the way, is the birthday, the 15th year, 15 years ago today was the Genesis block. All right. So the beauty of that is this is the reason no one can stop it. It doesn't matter. Like the most powerful government on earth cannot stop this thing because at this point, these nodes have been downloaded hundreds of thousands of times and exists on satellites now. So if governments around the world wanted to try to stop this thing, they would literally have to shut down the whole internet. They would all have to agree. All the countries would have to agree. We're going to shut down the internet at the same time. And then once we do, we have to locate every one of these goddamn nodes and we have to destroy them and make sure they're never started again. Because if they ever start up again, the whole thing repopulates. Right?
Well, and the
ones on the satellites too.
The best part to that is that because of all the nodes that are run on Tor, there's no way of knowing how many total are out there on the planet.
So what is the benefit then in running your own node, and how do you set that up?
Great question. So there's two benefits to running your own node. The first is you can, without going to anybody else's website or anybody else's node, verify for yourself your own transactions. Right. So nowadays, let's say, for example, I send some Bitcoin from me to you, Joel.
Mm-hmm.
I could go to a public website that tracks all the transactions, and I could look up that specific transaction. I could see where it went from my wallet address to yours, right? Problem is, when I go to that website now has a record of me visiting that website interested in that specific transaction. Does that make sense? If you run your own node, you can look that up in the integrity of your own network. Nobody even knows you looked it up. That's the first reason. The second reason is it adds to the resiliency of the network. Every single node that exists makes it harder to kill in general, right? The last thing is you can use your node to broadcast a transaction to the network without relying on anybody else. So if I'm using a wallet, let's call it a Ledger or a Trezor or something like that, and I want to send you Bitcoin, what's going to happen is I will broadcast that transaction, but it goes through Ledger or Trezor's nodes broadcast to the network. If you run your own node, you can broadcast your own transaction. If you're using somebody else's, they have a history of that.
Right. Okay.
Right?
So, all right. That makes sense. And I'm all about.
For a lot of people, like, there's so many like things you can do with a node when you have it yourself, but I'm a retard. I don't know how to do half those things. I'm probably not going to know how to, but the reason I run a node is just so I'm one more node on the network that makes it that much more harder. Like, even if you're an idiot who's not going to be able to do anything, you can run a node just to help boost the system.
Yeah.
Just to spite the opposition.
Yeah.
Just I'm all about that. That's
get it.
And now we're from our sponsor, Start 9. Hey,
you guys are getting paid?
Matt, and the guys over at Start 9, Sovereign Computing, these guys are amazing. If you're looking to get into this kind of thing, this is a free plug for those guys. They have made this extremely simple. It's one of the easiest setups out there. It comes prepackaged. A lot of times you're going to be building your own nodes out there, and a lot of people prefer that. But if you don't, and you're new to it, and you want to do everything that we're talking about, where you are running your own node, where you're hosting everything through your own server, and telling the government to get fucked, Start 9 is a great place to start. So anyway, that's
thank you. I bookmarked that, and I will be digging into that shortly.
Hit me up, Matt. You owe me.
It's really cool too, Joel, and I appreciate you sharing where you're coming from. Like you said, you're still very new to Bitcoin, so there's a lot you have to learn. I feel like I'm pretty new, and I got in, a couple years ago, and as much as I know now, I know way more just from listening to other people. But like, I know I'm still, an idiot on a lot of things. There's still there's so much out there that I have to learn still. It's cool for you to come in and just tell us your story, especially going into this bull run that's coming, or maybe we're in now. Like, people, y'all better buckle up and be prepared for some of the people that are going to come into this, that we're going to have to educate, get on board. Every cycle has people that come in, and some of them come in for good reasons, or for bad reasons, but then they learn while they're there. And some people never learn. They're in for the number go up, and when shit hits the fan and everything comes crashing down, those are the people that are left. When we had Preston Pish on, he talked about those are the people that you have just beaten down, and no matter what, they are not selling. And so you find the bottom of that market. Like, those are the guys that come in, and they're the warriors that are not giving up. They're the diamond hands that keep like the system going at the base layer and cut all the fat. Like, I think nowhere do you really see a better perspective of how the economy is supposed to work. When things get when there's too much froth in the system, it just gets wiped out, and you're left with just the people that understand it and believe it are running it. And it just, people got to get your minds right for what is coming in this bull run. It's going to be ETF gets approved, and we're going to see a wave of boomers and stuff. Just get prepared. Like, don't get pissed off when people don't understand it right off the bat. Like, have some patience.
On top of that, following that same train of thought, for those that haven't been around for like the big bull runs, like specifically what I'm thinking of like 2017, when stuff really starts to take off, a lot of these services have issues with being able to move your Bitcoin in ways that you want to. Mm-hmm. So like, when it comes to like the node conversation, like, it allows you to, like Alex was describing, to broadcast your transactions in a way where you're not relying on another application or like their compute capabilities to be able to pass along what you're trying to do. Because like, Coinbase is a great example. Like, when the bull run price action was popping off, it wasn't just like their services, like the entire Bitcoin network was getting clogged up. So like, just like, it's like there's just a lot of risk mitigation that comes along with just running your own node.
That's very interesting. I'm going to dig into this more and learn. And probably, like, when I first bought, I didn't understand it. I bought some, and glad I did. And I'm just stacking as I can. Just sat on top of another.
Yeah, and it's like you said, man. The learning part, I don't think it ever stops, and that's one of the coolest things about it to me is you can study this your entire life, and I still think there will be so much more than any of us can ever learn. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing so many veterans that are attracted to the Bitcoin mission is, we've got this, this hunger for training and for improving and for growing and becoming more. And I mean, our community is growing like crazy, and it's got me wondering, what would you say are some of the attributes or some of the skills that you refined during your time in the military that made you that guided you into embracing the Bitcoin mission?
Oh, probably critical thinking, the biggest one, and independent thinking, being able to have an independent opinion away from the pressure of everyone else and stand up in a room full of fucking alpha males and say, no, that's fucking wrong. It should be done this way. And, getting spanked by that if you're wrong, or getting an ice cream cone if you're right. But you just get used to being able to stand up for yourself and say no against some very scary individuals, And so I think that just becoming a operator, getting to, becoming not that I was a senior SEAL, but becoming, a couple deployments and respected. And now, people listen to you when you talk, and you're expected to and allowed to have an opinion, because before a certain amount of time, don't even bother sharing your opinion because no one fucking cares,
You haven't earned an opinion yet.
Yeah, I haven't earned your opinion yet, that's a great quote. I've tried to find it. I can't find it lately. By Henry Rollins had a quote, something to that effect, about how in the tribe of men, you have to earn an opinion, and the opinion is not listened to unless you have earned that in whatever manner the other men think.
Yeah.
Respect is earned, right?
Yeah.
That's a thing that's very, very important. And I think it's been lost to a great degree in today's society. We need to bring that shit back. That's one of my big measures with Bitcoin veterans.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the big thing that's happening in this year. 2024 is going to be crazy on a lot of levels, and we're moving into a really interesting time. I think a lot of the shit that we were talking about earlier, the veil being removed and everything crumbling down, it's all a good thing. This is all the destruction of the old guard. It's all, it's all like me and people waking up. I couldn't have been on with a group of dudes and talk about, sovereign nationals, state nationals, and talk about this stuff and have everyone understand what I'm talking about. It's the Great Awakening in a lot of different levels. It's a spiritual awakening to who we actually are as humans and to what's been done to us in this third dimension experience that we're going through, in these meat suits, and the people or the entities that have been running this place since before Sumeria, really. So it goes way back, and I personally think I'm positive about it. I think, how can it not change? I mean, we've hit the tipping point a long time ago on the fire being lit, and people. One of my closest friends, Mike Smith, he's the one who did. I don't know if you guys have seen Out of Shadows or Into the Light. Those documentaries, some really great documentaries on the control systems that are in Hollywood and through our media, and it's some awesome and scary shit. It's one of my closest friends, and he's the reason I moved out to Nashville. I came out because we're visiting him. He was a second unit director, stunt coordinator, top stunt man in Hollywood. I mean, he was Batman, he was James Bond, he was one of the top 5 guys probably in all of Hollywood. And he finally got just sick of it, and he got injured on a TV show and changed his whole life. And he ended up doing a documentary on the pedophilia and Satanism in Hollywood and how it's been baked in. And, of course, he's like, death threats on him now. So he left Hollywood. He doesn't work at all in Hollywood anymore, moved out here. And then another good friend of mine, Boone Cutler, you guys may know Boone Cutler and General Flynn did a book called 5GW, Fifth Generational Warfare, and then a follow-up book on AI. They're awesome guys. And so Mike did a follow-up documentary I highly recommend called Into the Light. And Into the Light is on the control systems and how they're using AI and the data harvesting and scraping to create digital twins it's insane. And when he did Out of Shadows on the Satanism and pedophilia in Hollywood, that one you can find, go to intothelight.movie, I think, and Out of Shadows is on that website. And he just uploaded it to Twitter, to X, so you can see it on X as well. Elon allowed it. When he created that, it was blocked everywhere. You couldn't even type into or Out of Shadows on a direct message on any of the social media sites. It would block that message. And then, but when he did Out of Shadows, it was a little ahead of its time. People weren't quite ready for it. Now, if you watch it, you're like, oh shit, oh yeah, this is amazing. This is great information. But no one really was ready for it quite yet. A lot of Pizzagate, a lot of the Epstein shit. It was all kind of ahead of its time. And Into the Light is the follow up to that, and that's ahead of its time. It's AI, digital twinning, the data banks that they have on all of our shit. That's exactly it. There's Mike driving that. He's here in Nashville with me, one of my best friends. But watch Out of Shadows. It's free. There's Mike. And then Into the Light is his follow up to that, and that I think costs $4 or something. But it's so worth watching. It's all this stuff. It's all CIA stuff. It's all control. It's all the control. They've been executing over. From our individual corporation and the trust that's attached to, and all of that, to the media that they've been controlling, Mockingbird, Northwoods, all the things that they've set up from the very beginning of this stuff. I mean, Hollywood media was not ABC, NBC, CBS. They were not created as what they are now. They were created as control mechanisms. This whole thing was created as control mechanisms, and we have been programmed. And your intentions, we create our reality. And so, if you have 6 billion people or 7 billion people on the planet all thinking the same way and expecting the same thing, or even 330 million in the U.S. all expecting that the U.S. is this and the U.S. citizen is this, we're creating that reality for them. They have programmed us to create the reality they want. And now it's all crashing down, and they're making the big push, but I think it's too exposed. Yep. It's too far exposed.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah.
There's too many nodes decentralized.
Exactly. In people and on the Bitcoin network. So it's unstoppable now.
This kind of thing is the media now. Like
exactly right.
This is where we're going to get the signal. This is where we're going to get guys like you, everybody who's an out of the box thinker. This is the media now. So fuck
Absolutely. And it's going to crash and burn and come down. And it's just amazing to find people. I talk to people all the time, and I mention MK Ultra and Northwoods and all this stuff, and then like something that's super obvious, like paperclip, and people are like, "Holy shit!" People have no right on, dude. You redeemed yourself. No idea, or you have no idea the shit that's been going on under their noses, right in front of their faces. I mean, they shove it in your face because they can shove it in your face. One of the things is it's a karmic thing. If they tell you what they're going to do, then they think it absolves them of their karmic responsibility of the shit that they then do to you. But they've gotten so comfortable, and we've been so mesmerized and put in this spell and created exactly what they want as livestock, that they shove it in your face. They shove it in your face now, and they don't expect any. Now I think they're really starting to panic. They're freaking the fuck out now. But for a long time, they could just shove it in our faces and have no reason.
It's more important now than ever that we have strong dudes stand the hell up, do what's right, say what's right, and be an example to the rest of everybody else. Because there's a lot of guys, there's generations of young dudes today who have no examples of strong men that they can mentor with and follow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a huge, huge problem in America today.
It is, and that's something that they distinctly tried to do, because what you're talking about, that's going to thwart anything that they want to do. And so what have they tried to do? They got to take the masculinity out. They got to remove strong men who are committed to truth. That's why they've got all this gender bullshit and all this stuff, to remove strong masculine things and to remove the truth. You notice all the shit that they're pushing right now. It all goes back to the postmodern and the shit that came over from Germany. That was a really interesting book I read about that when they brought that over here. But the deconstruction of all of this stuff, because they have to deconstruct this, because men like us will not allow this to happen. So they have to remove that. And what is the tool that we use? The truth, reality. They've got to fuck that up. And that's what all the gender shit, all that bullshit is all about.
Climate change. Exactly.
It's about just scrambling up truth so that people just follow along in the narrative instead of the truth, because the truth is the power. The truth is power.
Okay. Speaking of which, this is a perfect segue into a couple of quick announcements. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to do it now. The reason why I want to do it now is because this discussion dovetails right in with it. One of my objectives with Bitcoin Veterans is to create this gigantic citadel of networks all across the United States of America where we can get dudes together and do man stuff. and talk about man things and build fires and cook meat and shoot the guns and shoot the bows and do the fucking land nav and do all the things, right? Because we desperately need that today. And I'm big time looking forward to it. So a couple of quick announcements. Number one, Gabe, I'm going to give you the honors, Gabe, because Gabe has been doing all the heavy lifting on this part. We have a new discount code for Bitcoin 2024.
Yeah. So we've been fighting to actually, we're not even fighting. We're going to have a huge presence at the conference in Nashville in July. We've got our group is going to be showing up in force. And so we went ahead and had a conversation with the organizers of the event, and we now have a discount code there's a 10% off discount. So get in there while the price is still in a good spot. The discount code is Bitcoin Veterans, all one word. We're going to get out there, and there are more announcements to come on that. There are things that are materializing, but get out there. You're going to want to be there. It's going to be massive. So the code
Bitcoin Veterans.
Bitcoin Veterans. One word. Yeah.
You retard should be able to remember this.
If you have an issue with it, just reach out to me, and I will show you how to spell it again. But it'll be all right. I'll write it down in crayon for you, and you will be fine. I promise.
The Marines in the group greatly appreciate this. Okay, a couple of other quick things. These Bitcoin Veterans, the custom mugs thing that were done by my buddy Garrick. If you're interested in one of those, there's only like 20 of them, all handmade. If you're interested, connect with us. We'll DM you how to get in touch with him.
I use mine every morning.
I've used it every single day.
During the show. So next up, we have a friend of Bitcoin Veterans who has graciously agreed to let us use his property up in the Colorado Rockies. He's got 100 acres up there at 9,200 feet of elevation. We're going to do the very first Bitcoin Veterans Colorado muster. And this is going to be the first time we're going to get together and we're going to do the man thing. So looking forward to that. I'm going to invite you right now, Joel Lambert, right now on the air. I think you should be there because you would be an incredible asset to these young gentlemen.
I would love to. When is that happening now?
We have a number of different dates. We're going to be circulating around with the key people that we want to be there. We'll make sure that everybody agrees and says, yeah, these dates work. Once that's done, we'll distribute it to everybody and say, okay, let's do this thing. Everybody can bring their camping gear, come hang out. It's going to be a freaking fantastic time of fellowship and just doing awesome stuff with some strong dudes. You want to sharpen yourself? This is going to be a great time to do it.
Smoking some beats.
To hang out with you, you guys there, and everyone else. And then also speaking of the Nashville Bitcoin thing, I'm about 25 minutes north of Nashville. You guys have to come out to the farm. We got 80 acres out here. And we'll go to chill, bread, have a bonfire by the tobacco barn.
How far from Nashville? Wait, how far from Nashville are you?
About 25 minutes north.
Dude, we need to talk.
Right
easy.
there. He's right there.
Too easy.
because we're planning on doing a Bitcoin Veterans Range Day for the Nashville Bitcoin 2024 thing.
I've got 2 shooting lanes, but not.
Shane, you're also on mute.
All right. We'll talk some more about that. Okay, other quick things. The Brave mission. This is Shane's deal up on his mountain. He's got a PTSD mission where he's working with psilocybin and taking some dudes up on the mountain and helping them heal. I'm a big fan of this thing. I've done it myself. Spring season is coming up. If you're interested in this, get in touch with us.
Joel got so excited.
Talk about psychedelics, man. That's another route. Man, you fire me up.
All right, Joel, we need to get you up there. So here's the thing. I'm not talking. This is Shane's deal. I'm not running this, so I'm not calling the shots. This is 100% his thing, right?
We're running it. We stole it from him.
We did. I'm promoting it because I love it and I think it's fucking fantastic. All right. So you want to get the guys up there that are going to make the biggest impact on Bitcoin Veterans and grow this shit exponentially. But on top of that, if you have things going on that you need to overcome from shit you did or shit you saw or whatever you have issues with, you haven't fixed it yet, you haven't dealt with it yet, this is the way. Get in touch with us. The spring season for this thing is coming up. We're going to be doing 2 seasons, one in the spring, one in the fall. And there's going to be a multi-mission thing going on here where we're going to have a group of guys that are up there sort of doing the journey with the psilocybin, fixing their shit. And there's going to be another group of guys who are basically going to be doing some small unit land nav security perimeter shit to take care of the guys doing the journey. And it's going to be a simultaneous effort. So anybody who wants to get involved with this, who you think you have some skills to contribute, or you think you need to be on this journey because you have some shit to work out, contact us. We're all about doing that.
I would love to be involved in that at whatever capacity. And that's another big thing, big story that I've done a bunch of podcasts and stuff on is my entheogen experiences that I had several years ago that really knocked it out of the park for me and healed shit I didn't even know needed to be healed. Yeah, so right. I'm all about it. It was a crazy story, crazy journey. It was incredible. We went down there. They're doing in Mexico. They're doing ibogaine and 5-MeO DMT, and I didn't know anything about this stuff, and I heard about it. And I got plugged in, and I went down, and nothing will ever be the same. It was everybody. If you're not like totally not antithetical to this, everybody in their life. I mean, everybody in their life can experience this. Maybe not ibogaine and 5-MeO. Those are nuclear options. However, psilocybin, cannabis, ketamine's been used for some real great stuff lately. MDMA, MDA. There's a lot of stuff that a lot of guys are having. In fact, on my experience, I had amazing experiences, and one of my buddies that was down there with me had amazing experience. He's a dev group guy, Team 6 guy, big, tatted up and everything. And I called him a couple months after our experience in Mexico, and he was doing ketamine and having that was breaking him through the journeys we didn't quite do it for him, which I didn't understand why, because it was so intense. But he had a little deeper shit to chip off the toilet bowl, and the ketamine really was doing it for him.
I think it's important here to add a disclaimer, because there's a lot of things that were just mentioned. Because I come from a different crowd, starting with that used these substances in a way that is not for healing, is a way for specifically recreational. And I'm just bringing this up because it is very easy to fall into those crowds, and things can get very dangerous if you're not with the right people using those substances for a very specific means.
100%.
Yeah, let's just pause for a second. And really say, hey, listen, this is not for everybody. This is for people who are extremely strong-minded. It's for diagnosis, and this is really a tool. In the wrong hands, it's just like anything else. It could destroy lives, or it can make your life much better. Obviously, if you're going to go down this route, go with a professional, not some backwoods doctor. Go out with somebody that knows what the hell they're doing, has a great reputation in the space, understands the dosage, and is not, trying to get you to go to Mars the first time. There are pathways to this that you need to understand. If you're not with the right people in the right place, this can go disastrously wrong. So, right time, right place, right people. And this is a tool that I think, as we grow the space, and, I think, some people have done some real groundbreaking, for us, but, for the people who don't have fuck you money yet, right, that can fight every trumped up bullshit charge and everything else, this is something you got to be careful of. So be smart, and use your head before you go in, and be in a comfortable place. Like I said, this is not for everybody. So that's our disclaimer. But this is an amazing tool set for veterans, for people with post-traumatic stress, which is, let's say, that's basically everybody on Earth. At that point, we're going to start shifting, the culture around this as well, because if there's one group of guys out there that we know has post-traumatic stress that isn't getting the treatment that they need, especially from the VA, in terms of being able to select something natural, something non-addictive, something that is going to absolutely help with post-traumatic stress and help you deal with it at the different stages of your life, this is it.
Yeah, absolutely. Since I vomited all that out, let me say that it's not about the molecule as much as it is about the set and the setting that's going to determine your experience that you have. And the set being your mindset, where you are, the preparation you've done, the integration you do afterwards, and the people surrounding you, the facilitators and the doctors and all of that. And then the setting that you're in. I mean, this is all scientific. They did all this back in the 40s and 50s when these substances first were being experimented on. The setting that you're in, the comfort, the feel of the area that you're in, the set and the setting are just as important as the molecule themselves. So if you eat some mushrooms or drop a tab at a rave or something, that is not even in the same universe as what will happen to you in a therapeutic or a facilitated shamanistic medical, focused intention ceremony.
And I'll tell you, if you go up on the mountain with these guys and you've got Shane leading this thing, this is not his first rodeo. You're surrounded by a bunch of very strong men that are on the journey with you. And at the same time, there's a perimeter of guys who are not on this journey. They're just straight up like doing the security thing, checking in, watching you, making sure everything's okay. They're there for first aid. They're there for emergencies. They're there for fucking dealing with bears and shit if that's necessary. Whatever it is, right? They're there for that. And like, yeah, I'm very excited about this and looking forward to it. So before we move into story time, I'd like to hear from Gabe a little bit because we talked about the different missions that we're running here. Gabe, talk to us about what's going on with Operation Bitcoin. What's the latest, and what can we look forward to here?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so Operation Bitcoin is it's a nonprofit that we've created to bring Bitcoin education to veterans. There are 3 different elements to it. The first part is education. We're powered by My First Bitcoin, Me Premier Bitcoin, which is launched down in El Salvador. We've been approved as a thematic node. We're actually the first thematic node to be approved by them. And basically what that means is we're theme based instead of geography based. And so our theme, of course, is military veterans. So we're using their curriculum and tailoring it to be more for a veteran audience than for kids in high school or middle school, which is what it was originally designed for. Completely open source. It's awesome. And then one of the other elements is connecting military service members that are transitioned from the military and also folks that have already been out for a little while, getting them plugged into the getting them plugged into the Bitcoin job community. So, whether that is, preparing them for interviewing and setting up introductions, creating relationships. I'm currently in conversations with several of the larger Bitcoin employers in the spaces, just establishing those relationships so we can get pipelines of veteran talent flowing directly into their ranks. And I can tell you that the response is extremely overwhelmingly positive. People just love veterans. I mean, what's not to love? Just look at this group of individuals on the screen in front of you. But the employer
says that I'm like, you've been in the military, right? Veterans?
So don't ruin
talking about the same military.
Ruin your vibe.
Don't tell them what's really going on.
Cool for a second there too. You fucked it up, Joel.
Yeah. Can we edit this live stream?
No, you can't.
But then the other part is something that we realize that we probably all know. Anybody who's looked for a job in the Bitcoin space, there just aren't as many jobs as there are people that are looking right now. And so one of the other areas that we're growing is a business incubation service that will take veterans who want to start, these entrepreneurial veterans that want to start businesses in the Bitcoin space, and then providing them with the resources that they need and the support to launch businesses in Bitcoin and therefore create jobs in doing that. So we're getting the word out in a number of different ways. We've got Twitter. We're actually out there on LinkedIn. Really trying to tap into that market. I believe that we are approaching at that phase where we're going to have millions of veterans that are on LinkedIn that are out there right now that are going to have questions about Bitcoin. And we want to be sure that they're receiving good quality information and not a bunch of bullshit, because we know there's a lot of that floating around. So we want to be sure that they're getting high quality information that is reliable. We also have a Substack that is published out there right now. Take a look at it. We can put the link up in show notes and do all that cool stuff. But if you go on Substack, Operation Bitcoin, there's some really good stuff on there. A lot of it is going to be story based, and it's tied into military themes. There's some good shit. We have a great writer on there, Old Salt. He's putting out some good content. I think a lot of y'all are going to appreciate that. So take a look at it and subscribe.
Last thing, to connect with us at Bitcoin Veterans, we're on Twitter at Bitcoin Veterans. We are we have chat groups going. We have a Discord server going. Thanks, Mike Hobart. We've got all these events going. So get involved with us. We would love to have you, whether you're a veteran or not, whether you're a first responder or not, whether you're somebody who's military veteran adjacent, active duty, whatever the case may be. If you're interested in any of this kind of stuff, whether it be Bitcoin or just getting around a bunch of strong dudes so you can figure out what Bitcoin is, love to have you. Okay.
Hell yeah. One more thing, Alex, I got to throw this in there. It's like we were talking about earlier with there are people around the world right now. And I guess it's the course of events that have taken place over the last 3 years where reality has shifted and people are finding the plug is yanked out of the back of their freaking head and they're floating around. And what's happening is these loud freaking voices that come with the media and that come with the agendas, they're grabbing a hold of them and they're pumping them full of the stuff that is poisoning their minds. And there's so many that are just floating around waiting for individuals like us, for leaders, for people that know the truth, that are going to teach it to them and grab a hold of them and embrace them and bring them into the way of the light. And that is the importance of this mission that we're doing right now. And that's why I believe we have so many veterans that are getting on the mission, because we have that need to be tied into that greater sense of purpose. But yeah, Alex, I mean, if you're not a veteran, that's cool. If you want to be engaged in this mission, that's great. Come on, we got a place for everybody, because this is bigger than the military. It's bigger than the veterans. Let's go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right. You guys down with story time?
Hell
Let's
yeah.
do some story time.
Story time. All right. Joel, this is all about you, man.
I've already told like 4 stories.
Okay.
You have.
This gets better, right?
Digging
deep. Story time is the end of the show. We're getting towards the end of the show. And what we want to do is we want to hear from you some of the most challenging or in hindsight, funniest shit you ever fucking saw when you were in the military, whether that's when you were a BUD instructor or when you were out, deployed. Like, what is the thing that you think is the funniest goddamn story that ever happened?
Oh boy. When I think of funny stories in the military, I always think of my friend Drago. You guys know who Tom Giron, Drago? He's got a book out now. So Drago is this dude who, I'll tell this story, I guess. Damn it.
Joel, before you get started, is he the one that spoke with Jocko Willink on his podcast?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so, I know who he is.
Okay, so Drago is a close friend of mine. He and I was the best man in his wedding. Drago is a legend. This guy's his background. So he grew up Polish, and he was arrested when he was about 21 years old, and was excuse me, Amazon's calling once in the gate. So he was arrested by the Polish secret police when he was, I guess, 19, 20 years old, something like that, and they threw him in the gulag for 3 years. There he is. There's Drago. So they put him in there's him re-enlisting with Jocko up there in the corner. Yeah, so there he is. That's Drago. Super tight UDT shorts and no shirt on. So Drago is this dude. He really is a SEAL legend. Everybody knows Drago. So he was put in the gulag, and they knocked all his teeth out. He would bare knuckle fight for the guards' entertainment. He's scary as fuck. The dude would his mom it's in his book. His mom has a letter that the gulag people, the guards sent his mom a letter because he wasn't behaving, asking his mom to tell him to behave because they were constantly having to beat him. He's crazy. So then when Pope John Paul traveled to Poland back in like 1989 or something like that, and he wouldn't go to Poland until they let some political prisoners go. Drago was one of those political prisoners that got let go because of Pope John Paul. So that's not Drago, is it? Oh yeah, there's Drago. Yeah, I couldn't recognize him with this all geared up. So Drago, he goes, I go straight to American embassy. I say, I defect. So he comes to the U.S. he learns to speak English working at a car lot. He's got all these crazy stories about learning to speak English, and then the first Gulf War comes around, and he's like, I need to. He's a most American person you'll ever meet in your life. He's like, I must serve my country. So he goes down and he's like, I'm going to be Army. And then somebody that he was working with said, dude, you're crazy. You should be like a Navy SEAL or something. He's like, okay, I'd be Navy SEAL. He didn't know idea what it was. So went through BUDS, made it all the way through. I meet him in my first platoon. Telling these stories, I'm like, should I tell the whole story? I'll tell most of the story. So Drago, I'm in. I've heard all these stories about this guy. He's this Eastern European, tough as nails dude, who just doesn't take shit. You know, Eastern European masculine men, it's a different kind of vibe. You don't really. It's like, you know, the mafia. You wouldn't really joke around and talk shit to each other. Oh, Randy knows him. Randy knows what's up. You know, everyone knows Drago. So you just don't really talk shit to guys like that. But people do, and so Drago would not fight anyone. He just knocks them out, like just touches the magic button and puts them right down. But here's the funniest part about it: Drago used to carry diaper safety pins. You know, the big ass safety pins. Always had 4 or 5 of them in his pocket, because when he would knock someone out, he'd roll them on their side and he would safety pin their tongue to their lower lip. And he's like, I don't want them to swallow their tongue and asphyxiate and die. And so people would be like, holy shit, like freaking out when he told them this and showed them the pins. And he was like, no, it's kindness. It's kindness. And coming from Drago, people were like, you know, it's just, you just doesn't.
I mean, it really is.
It really is, but it's like in a different level than anyone would, you know. And in his mind, it was kindness. And everyone else was like, holy shit, your safety pin. And he's like, yeah, and then you just take it out and the hole heals. It's no big deal, which is true. But he would do that all the time, you know, all the time. So Drago, he's in my sister platoon with Rob O'Neill and a few other guys. And we're in Austin, Texas. We're in Fort Hood, actually doing mount training. And we're at Fort Hood. And all the guys went into, it was like a weekend, 2 platoons worth of guys. They all went into town to party in Austin. Of course, you're going to do that. But I was a new guy, and I had I had no money hardly, because I was buying beer for everybody else all the time. And so I'm just going to stay in the barracks and just hang out. We're staying in the old Quonset hut. So I'm in my cot, and I'm just reading a book. I'm just hanging out on this Friday night, and I hear on the door, boom, boom, boom. Like, oh shit. I get up and go to the door, look out the little front window, and it's Drago. He's like, hey, where's everybody? I'm like, hey, everybody left like half hour ago. You missed all the trucks. You missed the vans. And he's like, you come with me. We go out. I'm like, Drago, I'm staying in time. I'm scared of this dude. It's my first time I've really been around him. He's like, you come with. I'm like, dude, no. And he's like, I don't have any money. He's like, I have money. And I'm like, Petty Officer Geron's the name. Petty Officer Geron. I'm like, he's like, Drago needs pussy. I'm like, okay, dude. Okay, we'll go out. So I go out with Drago. We have a crazy night. Like insane. I'm not even going to tell that part. But I will say all the vehicles that we could drive off base were gone, had already been taken, and there was one truck the Army gave us that was not supposed to be taken off base. It wasn't legal to take off base, but we had the keys for that, so that's the one we took out. We're driving all over Texas, the party, and going to these roadhouses. We're having a blast. Had a crazy night. Drago and I are just best friends now. And so he's been one of my closest friends ever since. Amazing dude, out of control, crazy dude. In fact, one time we were doing some tech advising and consultation on Iron Man. Did a lot of that when I first moved to LA after I got out. And so I bring Drago up, and Drago and I are both working with a bunch of other former team guys with Harry Humphreys. And so we're doing, tech advising and weapons work and all that kind of stuff. And then, so they have a base camp area where everyone's at, and then they have Teamsters driving vans to take you to a hot set or take you to lunch or take you back to the hotels or whatever. So the Teamsters driving you around, and we're in the van, and we are driving back to the hotel, I think, after a full day of shooting. and one of the other SEALs in the van, Igor Persky, he said some smart ass remark, or no, I remember what it was. Drago had just met his soon to be wife, the one I was in their wedding for, and he's on his cell phone in the van. Good, kissy baby. I mean, he's like all lovey. I love you, baby. Kissing. This is from Drago, like not what you expect from this dude, in front of everybody. And Igor made the mistake of saying some smart ass remark or something to Drago about that. So Drago turns over. I don't know if you guys do van brawls. We used to do them in the SEAL teams all the time. Drago was over the seat on top of Igor, just tenderizing Igor up, and telling him to repeat what he just said. And Igor's dying. And in the front seat, though, there were a few other people that weren't us. This is where the problem came in. So there was like a makeup artist and like a wardrobe person in the front seat watching all not for civilian eyes, and definitely not for soft Hollywood civilian eyes. This woman, this makeup person, ends up turning around and saying something smart. Just fucking, God, bitch, keep your mouth shut. She said the wrong thing to Drago, and he turns around at her, and he didn't hit her, but he's like, "I will rip your head off, and I will shit down your neck," and she's just like horrified in the front seat. Turns out her dad is one of the producers on the movie. So a couple hours later, after we go back to the hotel, I get a knock on my door, and it's Drago. He's like, I'm being sent home, and I need to get my shit from you and everything. Can you give me a ride at the airport? So Drago got fired off of Iron Man, and
oh Lord.
Joel, you've got all the good stories, man.
We gotta get Drago into Bitcoin, Joel.
You gotta get Drago on here. Drago, in fact, the thing with Drago is that Drago is brilliant. So he talks. We call him Drago because he still talks like this. And when he can't understand a fucking word he says. Like you can understand him when he's speaking normally. When he gets wound up, like what the fuck is that? So the dudes, here's a Drago story for you. This one's, you guys are gonna like this probably more than any of the others. So Drago, we're at SEAL Team 4 at the time. 2 of us are. We just got transferred over from SEAL Team 2, and Drago's wife at the time, his first wife, was cheating on him. I don't know who you are, but if you have any idea who Drago is, I don't know if you want to.
You don't cheat on this motherfucker.
Not the guy. That is not the guy at all. Not the guy. So his wife was cheating on him. And when Drago found out, he was like, "I'm going to kill him." And everyone, when Drago says that, that's not hyperbole. He's not saying like, "I'm going to kill that guy." Drago, he really means that. Because we'd always try to send him to SEER school. He's like, "I've been to real SEER." He's like, "American prison, soft."
All pussies.
Yeah, so Drago, what story was I just telling? Oh, yeah. So Drago found out his wife was cheating on him. So our command shut him on the base. He can't leave SEAL Team 4 compound for like 3 weeks, bringing him food. People are running to it because they don't want him going out in town at all because they don't know what he's going to do. And so they locked him down. The next platoon going to Iraq, they just shoved him in. So he goes to Iraq. So Drago is just no work up whatsoever. He's in Iraq, and he's just having a blast. And right next door to the SEAL compound is the GROM, the Polish Special Forces. So when the SEALs weren't operating, he would go next door, knock, and he would jump in with them. And so he's operating with the GROM. He's operating with the SEAL teams. He's just destroying everything. He's teaching. So then his platoon finishes up his deployment, and the platoon goes back. Drago just stays. So he stays in Iraq. The next platoon is there, and he just jumps in with that next platoon. And he's just operating. GROM SEALs.
Reason to go home, all of you soft people. I'm safe.
So then the next platoon happens. So he's been in Iraq about 1.5 years, 3 deployments. And his special pays, all his pay, dive pay, and everything stopped. And he's freaked out that his pays have stopped. So he calls back to the platoon, to the team. He's talking to admin. He's like, "Hey, this is Petty Officer Zaran. My pay has stopped." And they're like, Drago, where are you? He's like, "I'm in Iraq." He's like, "Drago, you're supposed to be back 1 year ago. Where are you?"
We thought you were AWOL.
But yeah, so he's AWOL operating smoking in Iraq. And so then the kid, this is another part of that. So every time the new platoon would come in, he would take the new guys on the first operation. And what Drago would do, his signature move, is he would take the trigger fingers of all the insurgents that they get and break them, so they can no longer shoot gun. They can't do so. He's breaking all these fingers, all these insurgents. So he'd take all the new guys and all the like new officers and stuff around. And he'd show them how to pull out and to the side and break a finger easily. And he's breaking a finger on this dude, on this Iraqi. He's got his knee on his back. And so then this officer, this brand new officer, goes, Petty Officer Zahn, what if they're left-handed? And then Drago, the light bulb goes on. And so from there on out, both fingers. He's breaking both index fingers.
I did not think of that.
We weren't fucking canceled.
Off get Drago on here because Drago, everyone thinks he's dumb. He is not dumb at all. The Polish people as well. The Grom, we're like talking to them. We're like, yeah, it's crazy. It must be nice to be around you because you can understand it. You know, he can talk Polish because we can't understand him. The Grom guys are like, fuck, we don't understand him either. So, but Drago, he had his C++, his Microsoft certifications. He's a computer programmer way back in the day, writing program. He's actually extremely smart. Just it's hard to see past his Drago, you know.
He's full on Neanderthal.
He is awesome.
Wow.
You gotta get him introduced to us. This guy sounds
the podcast he did with Jocko. I think there was a picture of it when Shane was scrolling through like 391 or something. If you haven't listened to that, like even Joel's like description of his history, like it doesn't do it justice. Like they go into some serious detail.
Oh my god, Drago's career was E3, E4, E3, E4, E3, E4. He hit E5.
He hit E4 like 5 times or something like that.
Yeah, no, he's constantly being knocked out. Funny stories all the time. So he has this thing for cakes, for desserts. He's got a sweet tooth like nobody else. So he's always about cakes. Give me cakes. Everything is cakes. And then he was on a ship, and there was like they were making the desserts were for the officers' mess. And Drago said, "I am officer. I am General Duran." And so they brought him a whole cake, and then he got caught. And it was just Drago just does. He was in the gulag. You know, they knocked all his teeth out. He just does not give a fuck.
Being that smart and having that much muscle on your frame, like you need a lot of carbs.
Oh yeah, and he has no knuckles. His fists are just flat. The guy's just
all right. I tell you what, Joel, this has been the funnest goddamn show, man. I think I've laughed all over.
We've got requests piling in right now for a once a show Joel story time. Like that's
this has been so fun.
Oh, I'm gonna get all my friends in trouble and me.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap a bow on this one, guys. Any parting thoughts, closing words, any of that from any of you guys?
Just that I definitely want to have Joel come back for a second, third, fourth, and fifth episode.
Hell yeah. I'll see you in July, man. Shit.
Yes. You guys are going to come out. We're going to do a bonfire at the farm. We'll have food. We'll do a barbecue. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. Thank you guys so much. It's awesome connecting with you and being part of the chats and the group. And Bitcoin aside, just the ethos that brings us to Bitcoin and to the natural, all the things we're talking about. This is my jam. This is what we're all about. This is truth. This is righteousness. This is fucking like bikers righteous. This is righteous shit, man. And this all underlies and leads to Bitcoin and revocation of election and all that shit. But it has to be in you. And this is what I love. This kind of community.
The exciting part is we're just getting started, man.
Yep.
This is supposed to be.
Oh yeah.
We literally just started this shit last July. It's ramping up nonstop. I'm super fired up to get guys like you involved, Joel. This is going to be amazing in the next couple of years. This is going to be freaking fantastic.
It's the community I'm into. Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Our pleasure. Hey, everybody, go out there and follow Joel. Everything will be in the show notes from after here. If you want to get in contact with us, contact us, and we'll plug you into Bitcoin Veterans. We'll get you included in whatever you need to get included. Go out there and support Joel's work. He is on escapeandevademobile.com there. You can go check that out. Follow him on Twitter, all that fun stuff, and support the people who are supporting Bitcoin veterans. This is getting this thing out here and doing all the work, and everybody behind the scenes. It's just crushing it right now. Thank you to everybody. We are absolutely honored to be kind of the face of this thing. And Joel, to have you on here tonight, man, it's been a hell of a lot of fun. Great stories. Look forward to talking shop with you off air for even crazier stuff. But until next time, Bitcoin veterans, we're out. See ya.
Peace.